Jon Moxley is officially in AEW. We got our full Double or Nothing reactions next on the Squared Circle Psychobabble. Hello and welcome to the Squared Circle Psychobabble. My name is Michael Valenti. This is Ralph Valenti. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell for notifications as we are going for our new goal, 10,000 YouTube subscribers before, All Out?
That sounds about right.
All right, 10,000 before All Elite Wrestling, All Out, which we know is happening August 31st, as it was announced on Double or Nothing. Tickets go on sale, was it June 12th was the date, or
I
June
believe
14th?
so.
Something in mid-June, so I'm excited for that, but it all started with Double or Nothing last night. What an amazing show. What a way to end this show. A great match between Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega, which we'll talk about later on in the show, but after the match, Jericho cuts a promo asking for that thank you that he thinks he deserves, and all of a sudden, coming from the crowd, Jon Moxley comes out, gives the dirty deeds to Jericho, gives the dirty deeds to the ref, tries to do a dirty deeds to Kenny Omega, and they do an outside brawl for the last maybe 5 minutes, going on to the stack of chips that are on the stage, throws them off to a platform on the stage, and we have the credits go out. So, what do you think of this debut of Jon Moxley in AEW?
Well, it was definitely reassuring to see him actually show up because I think most people assumed he was going to show up in one way or another. But this was really kind of the cherry on top to what was truly an amazing wrestling event. Having him show up, not only was it important for the show itself, because it shows that, look, we're a legitimate contender. We're going to try to get some of the best talent, which they've said all along. But it also shows anybody in WWE, like, look, like, we are trying to get talent from anywhere. So whether you're in Ring of Honor, whether you're in New Japan Pro Wrestling, or whether you're in the WWE, we're trying to attract the best talent possible. Jon Moxley, obviously a guy who maybe felt a little underutilized, maybe wanted to go to AEW because he was promised some of that more freedom with his creative. But definitely a hot debut after an amazing show.
Yeah, and a great way to close it out. To me, this felt, and I've been saying this from the beginning, they needed that moment very much like Lex Luger on the first Nitro where he just showed up at the end of the
Yep.
night. This was that times 1,000.
Right.
At least when Luger came out, he just stood there. This time we have Moxley, he's attacking Jericho, he's attacking the rep, he's attacking Omega. It was very Austin-esque where he didn't care who he was going after, he didn't trust anybody. He's
Yep.
just there to be Jon Moxley, and the crowd just absolutely ate it up.
Yep.
I thought it was a great way to end the show. And of course, they got social media buzzing, and of course, the shots fired, the Vince, you better watch out, Raw better be good this Monday. The whole thing on social media just went like it was already trending worldwide throughout the night, but with Moxley debuting, it just took it to the next level. So
yeah, like I said, it definitely was an amazing show from start to end. Having Moxley debut the way he debuted, and just having him having that experience and being more of a well-known guy that did wrestle in the WWE, that means a lot. Not they had Chris Jericho obviously, but this is really somebody who has been active, who is one of the top guys, highly promoted within the WWE that they were able to attract. So we haven't been able to see something like this happen to this extent, maybe since WCW went out of business. You had obviously AJ Styles debut in at the Royal Rumble in the WWE, but as far as big name guys going back and forth, for about 20 some odd years now, WWE has been the big show in town.
Right,
So
definitely.
you really haven't had situations where top guys would go back and forth between companies, but this is what makes wrestling exciting, knowing that people can show up, assuming that their contracts run out, they go back and forth between promotions. This is what keeps the shows fresh, whether it's going to be WWE or AEW. Competition usually brings out the best in companies, so I'm excited to see not only what AEW does going forward, but I want to see what WWE does going forward as well. If they actually try to change anything, or if they just kind of stick to what they've been doing for the past several years.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there were some WWE superstars talking about Double or Nothing while the show's going on,
Yeah.
and one that was very active at Double or Nothing on social media was Sasha Banks, and of course, she is on hiatus right now. We don't know exactly what's going on with her. people are reporting that she's asking for her release. She's sitting out the rest of her contract. You know, everyone knows the story of Sasha Banks, and this where she's, really hyping up Double or Nothing and talking about how great wrestling is, and you see Big E talking about it too, and there's so many different WWE superstars talking about this. Do you think that as a professional wrestler in WWE, you see this and think to yourself, you know what? Maybe, the next time my contract runs out, I'm not going to be so quick to renew.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And again, we mention this every time we talk about AEW. We have to remember this is still their first show.
Yes.
Although it was their first show, it's certainly very promising of the things to come. So, assuming they sustain the momentum that they have, and assuming they do try to attract talent from the WWE or elsewhere, you got to know that that door might be wide open. And for some of these guys that, might be stuck at that mid-card, upper mid-card level who feel like they aren't necessarily getting the opportunities that they want, AEW seems like it could be a place where they could go to really express their true talent and creative freedom.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that I look forward to seeing.
Yeah, definitely. So let's move on to the show itself.
Right.
All the wrestling Double or Nothing. We'll start with the buy-in matches, and the Casino Battle Royale opens the show.
Yep.
And we knew about 18 names heading into the night, with 3 to be announced. And we got some surprises here. We got Tommy Dreamer that showed up in this match. We got Marco Stunt that came into this match, but of course, one that was the Joker of the night, ended up winning the match, was Hangman Adam Page. And in our last episode, I changed my prediction from MJF to Hangman Page after the match was canceled between him and Pac. I said that he was going to come out number 21 and end up winning, and that's exactly what happened.
Right.
So it was very interesting that with AEW trying to be the alternative to WWE, they do something that was very WWE-esque and booked something very predictable.
Yeah. I definitely felt like it was a predictable ending, but at the same time, I think it's the appropriate ending.
Right.
There were a lot of young stars and a lot of guys in that match that aren't necessarily full-time AEW wrestlers. So Hangman Page, obviously, he's full-time. He's committed to AEW. He's a guy that we knew was going to be in the title picture to begin with because initially they wanted the match Hangman and Pac to be for the championship. At least that's what was talked about. So, despite it being somewhat predictable, it still delivered. The crowd went nuts. They weren't necessarily expecting him to come out, and even if they were, they still went nuts when he did come out.
Yeah, they definitely did.
I think it was well received either way.
Yeah, I think so. I was looking at social media to see what the reaction was, whether it was predictable and people were complaining, oh, it's WWE all over again, or they were okay with it. And it seemed kind of 50-50. There were those people that were complaining it was too predictable, but some saying, you know what, it's Hangman Page. Let him get the win here.
What I would want to know is if, assuming he didn't have his, he did have his match with Pac, if that never got canceled, I wonder who they originally intended to have in that spot.
I would think MJF.
Could be.
I would think MJF, especially because he was the one that was the last man eliminated.
Right.
And I love the way how they did the last elimination. So Hangman Page eliminates Luchasaurus.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking he won, but MJF was thrown under the bottom rope.
Right,
He never went over the top rope, so he was hiding on the other side of the ring. And a typical WWE move is the bad guy flips over the good guy and wins the match. But no, they did the skin the cat spot that Shawn Michaels made famous, and Hangman does the buckshot lariat, goes over MJF, and you have the winner. So, and it won't be the last time we see those two guys on the night.
Definitely not.
Who in this battle royal really impressed you?
Well, definitely MJF. I mean, I was a fan of his to begin with. Outside of him,
Luchasaurus looked really good.
Yeah, and you know what? I got to say that he was definitely impressive. I even went afterwards. I went to watch some of the matches that he's had on YouTube just to kind of get an idea, because that was the good thing about this match. You got exposure to so many other guys that you wouldn't necessarily see on a regular basis. So it was definitely good in that respect. So, Yeah, he was impressive. MJF, he was obviously impressive. He gets the psychology of it, which is great, especially for a guy who's so young. So yeah, I got one of those two.
And of course, we did see the danger spots with Joey Janela and Jimmy Havoc, where Jimmy
Right.
Havoc was stapling everybody. He stapled
Yeah.
the cigarette onto Joey Janela's forehead. He stapled Tommy Dreamer in the between the legs,
Gonads.
the gonads.
The nether regions.
Yep. And I believe, was it Jimmy Havoc that got powerbombed through the table when he got eliminated, like right on his head by Luchasaurus? Was it him or was it Janela?
I think Joey Janela got choke
That was
slammed out.
that was it. Joey
ring.
Janela went through the table. That's right. So, after that, we had the bit where we had the two librarians, Peter Avalon and Leva Bates.
Right.
What do you think of this whole librarian thing?
I gotta admit, me personally, I'm not necessarily into it. I think it's a little childish. That if WWE had done a segment like that, people would be really quick to crap all over it.
But is it a parody of WWE? Because back in the mid '90s, they were
characters
doing
like
this all the time,
and they were supposed to be taken seriously back in the '90s too. So
I'm okay with that. I think it was a parody of WWE mid '90s, where like, oh, the occupational gimmick is gonna get over, and it never really did. So
no harm, no foul.
No, I mean,
didn't ruin the show.
Yeah. So let's move on to the second buy-in match. Sammy Guevara loses to Kip Sabian in 10 minutes. Quick match. I thought Kip Sabian looked much better than Sammy Guevara here. Not just because I don't like Sammy Guevara, but I wasn't really familiar with Kip Sabian going into this match, but he really impressed me. And I did like the small story that they were telling here, where Sammy Guevara thought he knew Sabian's every single move. So he would try, Sabian would try to do one move, and Sammy Guevara thought he dodged it, but then Sabian outsmarted him. It was a great cat and mouse type match.
Yep.
Sammy Guevara did have a nice shooting star press off the apron onto the barricade.
Yep.
That was a great spot there, but at the end, Kip Sabian gets the win there. What do you think of these two guys?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, two young guys who have a lot of upside and a lot of potential. I had to go back and watch the first couple of matches because I was having issues with my cable provider. So eventually had to end up ordering it through Bleacher Report Live. So I'd be interested if anybody else had issues with their cable provider. I was on the phone for literally an hour going back and forth trying to order this and get it to show up. But
I know people that were trying to access it through YouTube, the pre-show, myself included. I was having issues trying to get it on YouTube because they were promoting it to be on All Elite Wrestling's YouTube channel. So when you go on their page, it's just saying live stream coming soon, live stream coming soon. And it ended up being on TNT's YouTube channel. So must have been some miscommunication on that part. So, some of the bumps on the road for this first AEW show, but obviously the pros weighed out the cons in this. And let's head into the start of the main show, where we saw the members of the Elite have some backstage scenes where Kenny Omega is doing that gif of the kid from the 90s playing with his computer, the thumbs up thing. You had Matt Jackson introduce himself to Michael Nakazawa. And what did Cody Rhodes do? Oh, Cody Rhodes came out of his limousine with Brandy, with Pharaoh. So, and then they come out and they talk about the attendance, and another rib at WWE where they embellish their attendance records, always rounding up. So what really was like 13,000 seats, Matt Jackson would say is 20,000, just to round up and make it fun of WWE. So a lot of jabs here at WWE tonight.
Definitely. I mean, there were some subtle ones, but then there were some that were definitely in your face and very out in the open. And I like I said all along, if there was any indication that, is it competition or is it an alternative? It can be an alternative all at once, but I still have said from the beginning that this is going to be competition and they're going to compete with the WWE. So I think we can pretty much put that to rest after this show for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So let's move on to our first match on the main card, a 6-man tag, SoCal Uncensored versus the Strong Hearts of OWE, Shima, T-Hawk, and El Lindemann. I was not expecting this.
Yeah.
From these guys. I mean, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, Scorpio Sky, they looked like they were wrestling in their 20s, not in their late 30s, early 40s. They were looking really good. Yep. And these guys from OWE, the Strong Hearts, my God, they looked flawless. This was an absolute great way to start the show. A nice, 13-minute match, good spots, good storytelling. Only thing I would say is I would have had OWE go over in this match.
I was surprised they didn't, but SCU is obviously very over with the crowd.
Yes.
And that was evident as soon as they came out. Either way, win or lose, they still look strong. So, I don't think they really necessarily lost too much in a defeat here.
Right. And
so
of
I
course,
think it was okay.
A couple months down the line, Shima is facing Kenny Omega at, he's fighting at Fight for the Fallen, Omega versus Shima, and Shima looks really good. And T-Hawk and El Lindaman doing the double suplexes, T-Hawk with an amazing chop, and Shima looked just unbelievable. So I'm looking forward to these guys down the line and the rest of the OWE roster. We had our first big surprise of the night in our next match. Originally a triple threat match between Dr. Britt Baker, Nyla Rose, and Kylie Ray. But then Brandy Rhodes comes out in gear.
Yep.
And she says, I want this match to be awesome, not great. So everyone's thinking, okay, she's putting herself in this match because, of course, using her executive powers to,
very, very WWE-esque, if you will.
But then the swerve comes and we get Awesome Kong in this match to make it a fatal four-way. Britt Baker ended up winning this match. I think most of this match was actually predominantly made between Kylie Ray and Britt Baker. And I think the future with the women's division will be between those two ladies. Nyla Rose and Awesome Kong did some stuff outside the ring, including Nyla sparing Awesome Kong into the stairs late in the match. So I think, obviously they think Britt Baker is the future of this women's division early on, but Kylie Ray looked impressive as well. And you see her get introduced first, and she was, she lost her composure. She did her pose and then started crying before she ran into the ring. So obviously an emotional night for everybody, including these ladies that were, the first women's match in All Elite Wrestling history. So
not the only person to shed some tears.
No, definitely
throughout
not.
the night. So we'll talk about that a little later.
Yeah. This one here was probably, some people might say, the match of the night before the main event started. And that's the best friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent Baretta, going against Angelico and Jack Evans. And my God, they tore the house down.
Yes, they did.
This is where the show went into second gear and it never stopped. This is the part of the show where if you're watching a WWE pay-per-view, where this is the match that everyone's on their high and then they get that drop.
Yeah.
This did not happen. But here was a great match between the best friends and Angelico and Jack Evans. Everybody looked great. The best friends end up winning. But then we had probably the lowest moment of the night, and that was the debut of the Super Smash Brothers, which, the lights go out, they show up, the lights go out again, their minions show up, they attack everybody in the ring, and the crowd is, big wrestling fans that follow the independent wrestling scene, that knows every single guy in the card, knows where they've been wrestling, but yet they still chant, "Who are you?" to these guys. And the commentary did not do a good job explaining who these guys were, especially when Excalibur said, "Hey, those guys look familiar," but didn't follow suit and say who those guys were. So I think that was the biggest bump on this night.
Yeah, I mean, for a show that was so well received, a couple of bumps in the road here and there, I think I agree with you. This is definitely one of them. If you're there live, obviously you don't have access to the commentary, right? So it's very important, and the commentary's job is to express what's happening in the ring, or at least, like you said, explain who they are, where they come from, tell us who they are, if we don't know. So definitely dropped the ball a little bit there. And yeah, probably not the best debut, but, it's a first show.
Yeah,
so.
But, I mean, go back to this match. What do you think of these four guys putting it all out there on this match?
I thought it was a great match. Not only that, like you talk about the energy dump that you experience with most WWE pay-per-views, you usually get it somewhere around this time, or there's a match that's a filler. I never got the sense, whether it was a tag team match or a women's match, that any match was in there for a filler. Like, every match that went on there had a certain cadence, had a purpose. They were going out there to essentially steal the show. So I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great match. I thought it served its purpose, and I thought it was well received.
Yeah, so now we move on to the second women's match of the night, a 6-woman tag match. Hiroku Shida, Riho, and Ryu Mizunami defeat Aja Khan, Yuka Sakazaki, and Emi Sakura. And this was a great way to show these 6 women. I'm sure these were probably the 6 most unknown wrestlers heading into the night.
Probably.
And the crowd was eating them up. They were really into this match, regardless of if they knew them or not. And again, I got this one correct. Hiraku Shida's team wins this one. But Aja Kong, she was in there a long time for this match and really showing, what people may have forgotten when she was in WWF in the mid 90s. Interesting fact here. I'm not sure if you follow Fightful.com and Sean Ross Sapp. Sean Ross Sapp always brings up these random stats
Right.
that not many people know. But did you know in Double or Nothing, there were 3 people who were in WWF in 1995 and 2 that were in WCW in 1996 on this card for Double or Nothing.
So who? Glacier?
So Glacier,
Aja Kong.
Glacier and Jericho were for 96 WCW.
Okay.
And then you had the 3 95 WWF guys, which were Aja Kong was one. The other was Dustin Rhodes.
Couldn't have been Dreamer.
No, it wasn't.
Dreamer's probably ECW then.
But unless
he's considering that.
Yeah, but this was before we knew that Dreamer was in it. Billy Gunn.
Okay.
Billy Gunn was in the Casino Battle
DDP did make an appearance too.
DDP
so you
made
could
an
potentially
appearance
count
too?
him and Bret Hart.
Yes. So of course that's later on here. So let's get on to, speaking of Dustin Rhodes. What a match.
Yes. Yep.
Brother versus brother. The man trying to kill the Attitude Era against the man that was a huge part of the Attitude Era. Storytelling to the nth degree here. Amazing match. I think it was the match of the night. And I think a lot of people would agree with me on this. Cody Rhodes beats Dustin Rhodes in a 22-minute bloodbath. Literal bloodbath here. There was a spot where Cody hits Dustin with the corner exposed turnbuckle. He goes out. Dustin goes outside. Randy spears Dustin, and from what was explained in a press conference after the show, Dustin, I guess, hit his head on Cody's cane, and that's how he got cut. So, and my God, this was a cut. This was worse than Austin at WrestleMania 13. You couldn't tell what was blood and what was face paint.
It was probably the most blood in a a match of this caliber since Eddie Guerrero.
Maybe.
In his match with JBL.
Yeah.
It definitely reminded me of that. But I got to agree with you. I mean, psychologically, when you talk about the start to finish of this match, definitely a great match. Emotional roller coaster. They put it all on the line. I think that the thing that impressed me most about the show was there was a little bit of something for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So for people who wanted to see the more old school type wrestling, I predicted and you predicted the same thing, that this was going to be the type of match that they delivered on.
Mm-hmm.
And they put on a good show. The outcome was what it was. I expected Cody Rhodes to go over here. And probably the thing that people are going to talk about most, not just the match itself, but Cody's entrance.
Yes, Cody's entrance was a definite shot at Triple H.
Yep.
So Cody comes out, or before he even comes out, you see the throne. And obviously it looks very similar to the throne that Triple H sat in his entrance multiple times, most notably WrestleMania 30. So Cody goes out and he's got a king's cape on. And before they get into the ring, Brandy goes under the ring and shows a sledgehammer, Triple H's, go-to weapon, gives it to Cody. Cody goes up to the throne and hits it with the sledgehammer, destroying it. Crowd erupts for this. And this is an absolute shot at Triple H and WWE. And he even said it, like he burned a bridge tonight with that spot.
Yeah.
So, and, it's just attack after attack after attack with WWE. And I wonder how WWE retaliates on Monday. Do they do anything? Or if they do something, are they going to go all out? No pun intended.
I doubt we're going to see any type of change within WWE in their approach to their weekly television or anything for that matter, at least until AEW is on TV.
which is going to be in October. We
Right.
know that.
Yeah.
So, but after this match, we got the presentation of the AEW Championship, and who is presenting it? None other than Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yep.
Who saw that one coming? And a great segment here. At first, I thought it was a little unnecessary to do this whole thing because the show is kind of running long as it is.
Right.
And just have the belt and that's it. Show it, great. But no, they bring out Adam Hangman Page, and then MJF interrupts and cuts an unbelievable promo here. I'm telling you what, MJF became a star. He became a star with this promo.
Yep.
Instantly. I mean, he's geared up to be the top heel in AEW.
Well, that's the thing. He's not trying to be the heel that gets cheered. He's trying to be a heel that's a true heel.
Right.
And like I said, he gets it. And just some of the one-liners and the things he was saying, referring to Hangman Page's Seabiscuit and all of that stuff.
And of course,
it was just great. The crowd ate it up.
Pointing out the attack on Bret Hart at the Hall of Fame ceremony.
Yep.
And even Bret Hart laughed at that. He appreciated it. So, and of course, at the end of this segment, we got Jungle Boy Nate Coy and Jimmy Havoc attacking MJF with Adam Hangman Page. Not sure if this is a faction in the making or just three guys that commonly hate MJF. I think it's more the latter, but another way to showcase some of these unknowns to the mainstream audience, like a Jimmy Havoc and a Nate Coy. And I thought, while I was not a fan of Alex Marvez throughout the night, he did a good job here pointing out who these guys were, explaining who they were, and of course bringing up the fact that Nate Coy is the son of Luke Perry. So, you get some of those guys going, oh, the Beverly Hills 90210 guys.
Right.
So, all right. And, great segment. So we move on to the spot fest of the night. In 25 minutes, the Young Bucks retain the AAA World Tag Team Championships from the Lucha Brothers. To me, I thought it was an open and shut case. Lucha Brothers were winning this match.
Me too.
And
I was surprised by the outcome.
This was very surprising that the Bucks ended up winning this, but then again, the Bucks are the EVP, so you can never throw it out there. So, but my God, they did an amazing job with these spots.
Yeah.
And I say this all the time. I'm not a fan of the flippy floppy and the dives and and it seems like there's no reason for it, but they did a great job in making it seem like every single spot there was a reason to have that spot. The end of the day, they're doing what they can to win the tag team championships. And if it means doing a Canadian destroyer on the apron, if it means doing the spot that Nick Jackson did where he dives onto Ray Phoenix, goes onto the corner, flips, and hits Pentagon. Or do I have it backwards? I think I have it backwards. But still, stuff like that. You have Pentagon ripping the arm off of Matt Jackson, and they did a great job telling that at the end with the Meltzer driver. Oh, can he hold him on with just one arm? And he did, and you got the 3 count there. So probably my favorite Spot Fest wrestling match I've ever seen.
Well, yeah, I mean, it definitely was a different style match than what you saw with Cody and Dustin.
Mm-hmm.
Change of pace, but it was everything that everybody could ask for out of the two teams that are known for this style. I think that a lot of the promises that were made by Tony Khan and AEW coming into this, and since the inception, was it's going to be much more athletic, faster pace, similar to NXT. Like, this is something that you'd probably see on NXT or New Japan Pro Wrestling, that type of style, much faster pace. Yeah, but it, like you said, great match, good storytelling, surprising outcome, but you know what? That's fine. You don't want predictability all the time.
Right.
At the end of the day, it was just a good match, and that's fine.
And we head now to the main event where Chris Jericho was able to defeat Kenny Omega and make it the AEW Championship match be Adam Hangman Page versus Chris Jericho. I believe the match will be at Fight for the Fallen because Jericho said that's when his next appearance will be. So I'm assuming that's when the championship match will be. But again, we went from a storytelling match to a spot fest to just an all-out brawl in this match. And the referee was not going to let anything interfere in this match. He just let them have their match. He wasn't going to start counting out guys. He wasn't going to disqualify. He wasn't going to get in the way. He wanted these guys to just have their match, and it ended with Jericho with the new move, the Judas Effect. Yep. What do you think of the move?
I'll be honest with you. I was surprised he actually won with that move, but as Jericho goes through his career and continues to, change and reinvent himself, it's reassuring to see that he's not only doing that with his character, but also in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
So he's evolving and he's now, creating new offense, I guess. We got the usual spots from Jericho. We even saw the Lion Tamer.
Yep, twice.
Lion Salt. So, just another move to add to his repertoire, but I thought it was a really good match too.
And I appreciated the ring psychology in this match too, because
for sure.
Omega and Jericho were both selling very well, and we're setting up the next move where they had to do it quick or else the other person was going to reverse it.
Right.
I mean, you saw Omega try to get the one-winged angel multiple times, and Jericho was able to reverse it into a DDT. The V-trigger knees, my God, those things are hard-hitting knees.
Right.
And I don't know how he makes them sound that loud. I don't know if it's a special leather on his pants or he just is able to smack that hard on his hip, but they sound so hard. I mean, imagine being in the arena for those. They're just amazing. Overall, what do you think was the best match of the night?
My personal favorite is definitely Cody and Dustin. I thought it told the best story. I thought it had the most buy-in from the fans. I always talk about how you have to have that emotional investment in a match for it to really be good. Not that the other matches didn't have that. I think everybody was excited for all the other matches, but I think this one really stood out most because there was more to it than just two guys who wanted to compete against each other.
Right.
You had the fact that, Cody wanted to kill the Attitude Era, the brother aspect of it, the meaning of it, because they were both the son of, obviously, Dusty Rhodes.
And that was obviously heard from the crowd with Dust, chanting for Dusty. And did they chant Dusty finish?
I didn't catch that.
I thought I heard it in the beginning.
They chanted Dusty's favorite because Dustin
that's
wore
what
the
it
shirt,
was.
so.
Okay, Dusty's favorite. It sounded like they were saying Dusty's finish.
Yeah,
Dusty finish.
No.
I'm like, why are they chanting for a Dusty finish?
And you know what, too, was surprising about that? For a guy who has been in the business so... I shouldn't say surprising, but for a guy who is at the age that he's at, to put on one of the best performances he's had in probably...
That might have been his best match ever.
Yeah, it could have been. I mean, it was great. Really good match. That's definitely my favorite match of the night.
Who were you most impressed with in the ring from some of the guys that you may have not known going into this show? Who impressed you the most?
Out of people that we didn't necessarily know?
Right. I don't know. I think Angelico and Jack Evans really impressed
They're
me.
Up there.
And again, the Strong Hearts, I would say. Those three guys right there really showed,
Kylie Ray, for somebody who, obviously I've seen some of her matches before, but she's extremely athletic.
Mm-hmm.
And she definitely impressed me too.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that women's match, I thought, sure, they want to get as many people on this card and showcase everybody, but I think would have been fine if it was just Britt Baker versus Kylie Ray. Yep. And that's not a knock on Nyla Rose and Awesome Kong, because I actually had Nyla winning this thing.
Right.
And, the appearance of Awesome Kong was a great moment. So, but yeah, this was just a really, really good show. And, we put this up on our community page on the YouTube channel and asked people to rate it. And it was, best show of the year, good, okay. And then I threw one in there for Long Live WWE.
Yep.
Overwhelmingly, it was best show of the year.
Yeah.
With like, I think 1% of the vote getting Long Live WWE.
Well, do you think it was better than WrestleMania?
Considering we were at WrestleMania, I kind of want to be biased about it, but I just can't. This show was that good. Yeah. I thought it was better than WrestleMania.
I agree.
I thought it was better than TakeOver Brooklyn. I thought it was better than Money in the Bank, and we went to all 3 of those shows.
I'd have to go back and rewatch some of the takeovers to truly say it was the best. But I mean, and I'm not just talking inside the ring work, like the actual wrestling. I'm talking production.
The production was amazing.
I thought the set looked great. I think that the overall presentation of the show was well received. For a company putting on its first show ever, it didn't look like a low budget type of show.
No.
It looked like if you were to turn on like a WWE show, like it looked like it would be on par with that type of budget.
Oh yeah.
So it was definitely where it needed to be. It was impressive, not just for the wrestling aspect of it.
And it was nice to see that when there was a high action sequence in a match, you're not getting nauseated by a zoom in, zoom out camera motion. So, the cameras were pretty on point for the night. They missed a couple spots.
Did you happen to catch when Cody hit the throne, what Brandy had yelled?
Oh, break it down. Yep.
Yeah, so just little subtle things like that, making sure you're in the right position to capture that type of stuff.
What'd you think of the commentary?
Commentary was okay. Jim Ross, I think he's still trying to get back into the groove of things.
I think he started off a little off, but I think as the night went on, he was starting to get to the Jim Ross that we all know and
he'll
love.
He'll get there.
Excalibur was probably the best of the 3. But Alex Marvez, it's like he felt like a third wheel in this commentary.
Well,
he really did.
So there was at no point where the commentary stood out as being bad. I didn't think it was great, but I also didn't think it was like Mike Tenay, Don West bad.
Yeah.
And to me, that's probably almost as bad as it gets.
Yeah.
Was
the commentary better than what we hear on Raw or SmackDown?
I would probably say so, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I like Morrow on NXT. I think he's great. So I don't think it was quite as good as that.
Right. Or even Kevin Kelly or Don Callis in New Japan.
They do a good job too. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was fine.
I'm sure for their first time, I'm sure they did like warm-up sessions, but it's obviously different when the camera's on. But for those 3, I think there's still something to work on. Personally, I would, in the future, have it just be a 2-man crew and focus more on Jim Ross and Excalibur. But I'm sure Alex Marvez is going to play a more key role, especially because I'm pretty sure he's involved with Bleacher Report.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be part of the deal where like he's got to be in this involved somehow.
I think the thing that might have surprised me most was having Jim Ross kind of essentially take the passenger seat. He wasn't necessarily the lead guy. Yes, he had his moments, and he was really the guy that was, making some of the larger calls, especially like when Moxley came out. He was the guy that had that call. But, and that's probably just because growing up, I'm used to hearing him have the most iconic, commentary in all of wrestling, calling all the big spots, calling the big moments. But I think once he gets a little more acclimated to his role, he'll be the guy that takes the lead.
Yeah. And we talked about the production value. I thought was pretty good, comparable to WWE. The commentary, I think, will improve. The in-ring was amazing. The promo work that we got a little bit of, especially MJF, was amazing. Yep. I mean, if they continue this trend, and WWE better watch out.
In the words of Dustin, Vince better watch his ass? Isn't that what he said?
Watch his toes. I think
he said watch his ass.
I thought it was toes.
No, you're off tonight.
Are you sure? I'm going to have to rewatch that tape.
Let the fans tell you. I'm pretty sure.
All right, let me know in the comments if I'm wrong on this. Is it toes or is it ass? Let us know in the comments what you thought of All Elite Wrestling Double or Nothing. Don't forget to like this video. Share it all over social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at SCPB Podcast. Subscribe and hit that bell for notifications as we're trying to hit 10,000 YouTube subscribers before All Elite Wrestling's All Out. For Ralph Valenti, my name is Michael Valenti, and thank you for watching the Squared Circle Zygo Babble.